Animated movies deserve more recognition. Thank goodness the Oscars decided to nominate animated movies not just for Best Animation, which rightfully deserve its own category, but in original screenplay, so on. Thank goodness that we're giving attention to animated movies. I just saw Dogman. It's directed by Peter Hastings, stars Pete Davidson, Poppy Liu, and Lil Rel Howery. This was a really fun movie. This was just an absolute blast of a movie. It was just so vibrant. The world just popped out. You know, the crazy part is this movie felt natural, especially for an animated movie. I mean, yeah, it's a cartoon world. Cartoon things are happening, but dude, this movie is just so fun. It's so refreshing. Like, if you go down my entire list of reviews, you know what movies I've been seeing? A lot of depression. So going in to go see Dogman, woo! Yo, it's like a breath of fresh air. This is not a spoiler-free review. Not that spoilers matter because a book is already out on this. And this movie is actually a graphic novel adaptation. So you can either read the book or watch the movie. Up to you. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that this movie is definitely for adults. I think what really scares adults away from animation is just kind of like what we're obviously all thinking right now. Animation is usually meant for kids outside the few exceptions, because then we have like genres of like anime, even in like video games where it can be more adult. Dogman is very obviously tailored towards kids. There's a lot of like adult jokes, adult writing in this, and also just like the story themes itself that might go over like a younger person's head definitely resonated with me. Not that I have experience whatever these characters have experienced in the movie, but you know, you still feel emotionally connected to these cartoonish characters. One of the most unique aspects of this movie is the Dogman. His name is actually technically Greg. He doesn't talk at all. He talks in the beginning, but that's because he was a human still. But once he got into a freak accident, they sewed the dog's head onto the Greg's body, which was kind of terrifying. Like, they don't show it, but like the concept of that is like deeply horrifying. He doesn't talk at all. He speaks in dog. He has howling sessions or yowling. He fights crime, still doesn't speak a word, and that is where Petey the cat comes in. Petey is like my favorite character in this movie because he's just so well defined. He has like a character arc of like being a supervillain, like willingly be dismissive, have a very pessimistic view on the world, but by the end of the movie, it's not that his pessimistic view kind of went away. Instead, he kind of changed his perspective towards the end of the movie and is like, you know what? I can still be the kind of person that I am, but I don't need to be absolutely negative around all these people, which is a very nice way to tell a story, especially to children, because a lot of kids movies tend to have the issue where it's like a villain doing something that's so villainous, and like that their characters run into the core, and the only way they can change is changing absolutely everything about themselves. This movie doesn't do that. Instead, it embraces Petey for who he is, and it feels authentic. It feels like this is something I would experience living here on Earth. This movie is so vibrant. The animation, I can't say cinematography because none of this was shot with the camera. The animation is just so personable. Like, you can just tell there was just such intention and care into this. You know, I grew up in the era of animation. I'm a 2000 baby. I was born exactly in 2000. So you can kind of get the idea of the animation I grew up with. And it was always about and I should preface, this is when Disney and Pixar were still really taking control. This is when DreamWorks was starting to really enter the scene with some really good entries like Shrek. So a lot of animations I grew up with was always about pushing the envelope of our animators and storytelling in very unique ways. It's like going to an amusement park, and this amusement park is dedicating to opening up the next biggest roller coaster that breaks records. That was the type of animation I'm used to. For Dogman, it's definitely not about pushing the envelope. It's about genuinely telling a good story while still trying to be original in its own way. This is a very long movie, by the way. It's an hour and 29 minutes. Like, for animation, woo, that's a lot of work. That's like years of work right there, with an entire team of very talented people. And this is where it leads into kind of my first little bit of negative feedback. The movie does feel like it drags on for a bit. It just, like, it moves and you know it's moving, and it doesn't feel like it's stalling. But like, once we start getting towards the end, towards the climax of the story, it's like thing added on to thing added on to thing, and it's like you could have just ended the story right there, but yet you want to throw this in here. Like, okay, let's throw in an entire kaiju living building attack scene, and then let's have the robotic fish thing. I don't even know its name, but it's British. The British fish monster now also has to reconcile. Like, it just adds on more and more. I almost kind of craved as a viewer. I'm like, can we just maybe have more of a grounded story? I understand that maybe the book was written this way, or maybe it wasn't. I haven't read these graphic novels. This could have been 2 movies in a way, because Dogman is a superhero movie. Surprisingly enough, it is a superhero movie, and so it can propose itself for sequels in the future. And I would love for a sequel for this movie to come out. Like, if Dogman 2 was coming out, I'm sat opening night, not even opening night, on a Thursday, I'm sat because this movie was so good. And then the last little bit of negative feedback that I have is this movie, more so in the start, is really fast. Just a lot happens, a lot of talking. Like, there was like this whole montage sequence, and it was like thing after thing after thing after thing, to the point I was getting overstimulated in my brain. I'm like, what am I even looking at? What am I even hearing? A lot was happening, and I felt like I lost a little bit of story in that way. And sometimes the voice actors would speak super quickly. I wish I could just rewind and listen to some of the dialogue again, because the movie is just go, 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 because short attention spans. This movie is really funny. I think this is the first movie in 2025 that was like actively a comedy where it genuinely made me laugh. Companion was like a close second, because that was probably my #1 comedy this year, but I think Dogman kind of takes the cake on it. There was just a lot of good jokes, and it was timed so well. And here's the best part, the comedy really built up the story, so it got you excited and absorbed. It wasn't a reason for me to whip out my phone and start using it. Not that I would do that at a movie theater, but if I was at home, I probably wouldn't even use my phone, because this movie is really engaging even for an adult mind. I do really recommend you guys go see this movie. I do believe this movie will be nominated for Best Animation, because it is just solid all around. It's a fun watch, super snappy, super whippy, fast, has its slow and tender moments, and an exciting finale. You can't just, there's nothing more you can ask for in an animated feature, especially based off of a graphic novel that a lot of families love. It's truly wonderful. It really is. I give this movie 3.5 stars out of 5. And just to reiterate why I give this movie 3.5 stars out of 5 is, one, because it's just a little too fast, but also I have seen better animation. Again, I'm a huge animation guy. The last animation I watched was Arcane Season 2, so there's just a level of standard that needs to be met, especially from a big studio. Nonetheless, it's an enjoyable watch. Go take your kids. It's a great time, even for you as an adult. I think you'll have a blast with this movie. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next review of Love Hurts.